Rare 2,300-year-old gold ring discovered in Jerusalem's city of David, highlighting the wealth and culture of the Second Temple period, according to archaeologists. The findings paint a picture of a wealthy, elite society influenced by the broader Mediterranean world. Now let's deep dive into this AI podcast.
Okay, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring really a fascinating mix, aren't we? It's ancient history, actual archaeology, and this huge, enduring mystery, all focused on Jerusalem.
Yeah, it's a great topic. We've got two main sources we're looking at for you today. First, there are these recent reports from the Israel Antiquities Authority about some pretty amazing archaeological finds in the city of David.
Okay.
And then, completely different, we've got a report about some declassified government documents that, believe it or not, touch on the mystery of the Ark of the Covenant.
Right. Quite the contrast there. So our goal really in this deep dive is to pull out the key insights from both.
Yeah.
What can these new discoveries tell us about Jerusalem back in the Second Temple period? And on the flip side, what do these more unusual documents suggest about how people are still trying to figure out the whole Ark enigma? We want to get to the heart of it so you really get the main details and sort of the bigger context.
Absolutely. And I think the best place to start is, well, literally, with what's coming out of the ground, those archaeological finds.
Yeah, let's do that. So we're talking about the city of David, the really ancient part of Jerusalem. It's got layers upon layers of history. And, tradition holds it's where King David first brought the Ark, way before the Second Temple.
Exactly. And the Israel Antiquities Authority, the IAA, just announced something pretty special they found there, a really rare, beautiful little gold ring.
Oh, wow. Okay, tell me about it.
Well, they reckon it's about 2,300 years old. It's tiny, like maybe for a child.
Huh.
And it has this lovely red gemstone set in the middle. And you can even see the band itself is a little bent. It just feels so personal, a real link to someone.
It really does, doesn't it? That detail about it being bent and 2,300 years old. What's the significance of finding this now?
Well, what's really interesting is this is actually the second ring like this found there in the last year or so.
Oh.
Yeah. Which suggests, this style was maybe quite popular back then during the Hellenistic period in Jerusalem. But bigger picture, this is actually the first time a whole collection of Hellenistic gold jewelry like this quality has been found right in Jerusalem.
A collection. So more than just the ring.
That's right. The IAA also found nearby several bronze earrings. Some show like a horned animal, and also a really detailed gold bead.
Okay, so putting these together, the ring, the earrings, the bead. What does this collection, what does it tell us about the people living there at that time?
It gives us a fantastic, material glimpse into life then. This is the Second Temple period, but heavily influenced by Greek or Hellenistic culture after Alexander the Great.
Right.
The quality, the design, it points to a certain level of wealth, a definite sense of fashion, and sophisticated craftsmanship right there in the city. It kind of challenges the idea that everyone lives too very simply then.
And they found it, you said, under the floor of an old building. That sounds deliberate.
It does. And Dr. Marion Zindel, one of the archaeologists, she has a really interesting idea about that.
Yeah.
She thinks it might have been buried on purpose. She mentioned this specific Hellenistic custom where young women, when they got engaged, would bury things from their childhood, like jewelry, under the foundations of the house they were going to live in.
Wow. Like a ritual.
Exactly. Kind of symbolizing leaving childhood behind, moving on to married life.
Yeah.
Imagine that this could be part of a young woman's rite of passage from millennia ago.
That adds such a human layer to it.
Yeah.
Incredible. And you mentioned Hellenistic style, but I think the report also noted influences from further east, like India, Persia. How would those styles mix in Jerusalem?
Yeah, good point. The researcher suggests this was possible because Alexander the Great's conquests had basically thrown open these huge trade and cultural routes.
Okay.
So ideas and styles are moving across vast distances. This jewelry, found in Jerusalem, but with design hints from maybe Persia or even India, is like solid proof that the city was plugged into that wider Hellenistic world.
So we have these really solid finds, tangible history giving us details about life in ancient Jerusalem during a key period. But Jerusalem, of course, holds these deeper mysteries too, right? Things we can't just dig up.
Oh, absolutely. And probably the most famous mystery is the Ark of the Covenant.
Right, the golden chest.
Described in the Bible as this sacred gold-covered wooden box made to hold the stone tablets, the Ten Commandments given to Moses.
Constructed way back, maybe around 1445 BCE, and it was the central object of worship, kept in the temple in Jerusalem eventually.
And incredibly sacred. I mean, the rules were strict. Only the high priest could even go near it, and only one day a year, Yom Kippur.
The Day of Atonement.
Yeah.
And like we said, tradition links it right back to the city of David. King David brought it there maybe 3,000 years ago before Solomon even built the first temple.
But here's the thing. It just disappears. Around the time the first temple is destroyed by the Babylonians, 6th century BCE, the historical trail just goes cold. It's never been conclusively found. And that's what sparks all the legends, the theories, the searches.
For centuries. Which actually brings us sort of unexpectedly to the second source for our deep dive today, a much more, let's say, unconventional take on the Ark mystery.
Right. So the Ark's location is this perennial question, and interest flared up again recently because of a dailymail.com report back in March. It talked about some declassified CIA documents from the 1980s.
CIA documents about the Ark.
Well, about experiments the U.S. government was apparently doing with something called remote viewing.
Ah, okay. That whole extrasensory perception, psychic spying kind of thing.
Pretty much. Exploring if people could, perceive things at a distance just with their minds. And one specific test in these documents apparently targeted, well, they didn't say what, but the results are suggestive.
Go on. This sounds wild.
So according to the report on these documents, a subject, just called remote viewer number 032, was given map coordinates. No other information, just describe what's at these coordinates.
Okay.
And the descriptions this person reportedly gave are striking. They described seeing an object, like a container within a container, made of wood, gold, silver, and decorated with what they saw as a six-winged angel.
That sounds familiar. Where did they place it?
Somewhere in the Middle East, underground, dark, damp location.
And the surroundings. Did they describe anything else?
Yeah, again, without knowing the target, the viewer apparently described seeing buildings nearby that looked like mosque domes and people dressed in white, dark hair, speaking Arabic.
Wow. And the object itself, did they get a sense of its purpose?
They perceived it as ceremonial, spiritual, something about bringing a people together, representing memory, resurrection, holding knowledge, far beyond what we now know. That's a direct quote from the reporting on the document.
Knowledge far beyond what we know. Okay, this is getting really strange.
It gets stranger. According to this report on the declassified files, the remote viewer claimed the Ark, assuming that's what it was, is protected by entities.
Entities.
Yeah. And that it could only be opened by people with the, quote, proper authority. Trying to force it open, the viewer claimed, would lead to destruction.
Destruction how?
By the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us. Again, quoting from the description of the document.
Okay. That sounds like something straight out of Indiana Jones, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's completely outlandish on one level. But what's interesting, stepping back, is how you have these two completely different strands feeding into the story of Jerusalem and the Ark.
Yeah.
You've got the painstaking archaeology, digging up real objects like that gold rain, grounding the history, and then you have this, well, highly speculative account from a declassified intelligence experiment showing just how persistent and, frankly, weird the search for the Ark can get. Both, in their own way, feed this ongoing fascination.
So if we try to tie these threads together then, what's the main takeaway for new? We've got the archaeologists finding this child's ring, this beautiful jewelry, connecting us directly to people living in the Second Temple era in the same city where the Ark supposedly was. It makes the history feel real human scale.
Exactly. It gives us that tangible connection. And then you contrast that with the enduring, almost mythical mystery of the Ark itself. Something so powerful it keeps inspiring belief, legends, searches, and even apparently remote viewing experiments decades ago. It really shows how Jerusalem is this blend of solid history and profound mystery.
Both sides, the physical evidence and the, let's call it unconventional speculation, they both kind of underline Jerusalem's unique character, don't they? Its historical weight, its spiritual pull, and the fact that it still holds secrets.
For sure. And the exciting thing is the digging continues. Archaeologists are always working there. Who knows what else might turn up? Maybe more tangible links to the past, maybe things that deepen the mystery even further.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's worth thinking about that contrast, isn't it? You have that exquisite gold ring, the Hellenistic jewelry, real objects touched by people thousands of years ago. We learn about their lives, their rituals, their connections to the wider world, history you can practically touch.
Yeah. And then you have the Ark. Still completely missing, Yet it generates these incredibly powerful narratives, from deep religious conviction right through to these very fringe theories emerging from old government files.
It really shows how layers of history get built up, doesn't it? Through the hard work of archaeology, yes, but also through our enduring fascination with legends. Even in a place as explored as Jerusalem, there are clearly new things to learn, and these ancient mysteries just keep gripping our imagination. It's this amazing mix of the concrete and the transcendent.
Makes you wonder, right? What else is still buried there, physically or metaphorically, just waiting to change how we see things?
What does the discovery of the gold ring reveal about the daily life and cultural practices of the people during the Second Temple period in Jerusalem? Commented. Thanks.